Okay, we are live. Let me turn down my solfeggio frequencies and hop in here on YouTube so I can actually see the chat. You already know how we're gonna do this. Tonight is gonna be part 2 of, okay, is it gonna pull up for me? Okay, here we go. Tonight is gonna be part 2 of moon work for self-care and goal achievement. Last week we did part 1. And I reviewed the moon phases, the waxing moon phases, which means the light is increasing. So we started with the new moon. We went through the full moon. Yesterday was actually the blue full moon. So if you were a part of Sacred Sunday Space or the Dark Art Self-Care series, then you know we had that private workshop that we did for the new moon. So I figured now would be the perfect time, right in alignment, to go ahead and talk about the rest of the phases. I got my incense smoke going. I'm outside on my patio, so I have the smoke to keep the mosquitoes away. Let me adjust this, and we're gonna get right on into it. Housekeeping, it's a lot of smoke. Sorry, hold up. Okay, housekeeping item number 1, as always, as I'm pulling up my notes, is going to be interaction. Whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching this on the replay, if you have any questions, comments, experiences, go ahead and drop those in the comment section. I do have my notes, so you will see my camera is over here. I'll be looking over there, but I'll be also looking down here at my notes. My computer is right here, so I'll also be checking the chat there as well. I'm really good at keeping myself on task as well as answering any questions that come up. So if you do have questions, I always say do not sit on the other side of the screen confused or bamboozled or bewildered. Go ahead and drop those in the comment section, and I want to make sure that anybody who comes to any of my workshops, that you get the information that you need. Okay, housekeeping item number 2 is going to be sharing and liking. Sharing is caring. If you are here, or even if you're watching this on the replay, if you know a friend who's into self-care, goal achievement, personal development, but also metaphysics, maybe you know that the friend likes to work with the moon, go ahead and share this video with them. As I always say, tell a friend, tell a family member, loved one, you know, whoever. Tell a pimp, tell a player, tell a friend, tell a hater. Just like you are trying to grow, I am trying to grow. That's going to help me out to extend my reach and do just a little bit more here, okay? And if you are watching this live, or if you are watching this on the replay, make sure to go ahead and hit that like button, because that's going to do the same. But let me see, I do have some resources here for you. That's one thing that I do like about going live on YouTube versus Instagram. So I'm going to drop the resources right in the comment section for you. The first one is going to be your free new moon tips guide. And let me drop that for you. So if you are interested in learning how to use the new moon for goal achievement and to track your intentions, go ahead and grab that one. It has information on how the light and the energy from the moon affect you and your emotions. It has some journaling activities for you, as well as some additional resources in the back, some guided meditations, and some links to some, you know, additional tutorials for you. And then I also have another one for you, a free create your own Sankalpa guide. And these are the same resources that I put in there from part 1. So if you do have those, you know, they are no different. The Sankalpa is going to be very useful for the practice of yoga nidra meditation. It's something that I do advise that people give a try. It is very useful to relax your nervous system. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system, helping to release stress. But it also is very useful for self-transformation and personal development. The Sankalpa is kind of like a positive affirmation, but positive affirmations are typically, you know, used in the waking state. The Sankalpa is used in the Nidra state, which is going to affect your unconscious. So it's going to give it just a little bit of a boost. If you are someone who is doing personal development work or who's interested in moon work as well, yoga nidra meditation or the practice of psychic sleep is something that kind of goes along with this work. We typically think of the moon as an element that comes out in the night, an element of the night, and yoga nidra is a meditation that works by hijacking the body's sleep process. So they kind of go hand in hand. Well, you can make them go hand in hand. I make them go hand in hand. But if you want to get started with yoga nidra meditation or the practice of psychic sleep, go ahead and check out that workbook. It's going to help you create your own Sankalpa, and then in the back of it, it has links to guided practices that you can use to really get started with this process. And then the last thing that I have for you is Sacred Sunday Space and the Dark Art Self-Care series. You know, those are my private self-care workshops. Let me drop that link there for you. Once again, we did the full moon meditation and the full moon ceremony yesterday. When we had the new moon, we also did the new moon ceremony. So that is there for you as well. So I'm going to go ahead and drop that. Those are all of the resources that I have for you. So we're going to just actually jump right on into the content. So there are 8 phases to the moon cycle. Main content. I'm taking notes so I can add the chapters in for y'all. Main content, 6 minutes. So there are 8 phases to the moon cycle. The last time we went through the first 5. So I'm just going to review those really quickly for you. The first one we talked about is the new moon, also known as the black moon, where the moon is 0 to 45 degrees ahead of the sun. Next, we have the waxing crescent moon, where the moon is 45 to 90 degrees ahead of the sun. You have the first quarter moon. The moon is between 90 and 135 degrees ahead of the sun. The gibbous moon, between 135 and 180 degrees ahead of the sun. And then the full moon. The full moon is where the sun and the moon are 180 degrees apart. We can think about this as the climax between the relationship between the sun and the moon. You're getting that bright, fully visible moon. And then after that, things tend to go backwards. The light begins to dissipate. So we have 3 more phases. So we're just going to go ahead and, dive right on into that thing. The first one that we're going to talk about is the disseminating moon. Okay, the disseminating moon is the first phase in the waning cycle. So the other ones are called the waxing moons, where the light is growing. I feel like my camera, I could bring it down a little bit. The waxing moons are when the moon is growing, and then the waning moons are when the light from the moon is shrinking. So the first one that we have is the disseminating moon. So now the moon is actually going to be behind the sun. So the disseminating moon is between 135 and 90 degrees behind the sun. So you're going to see a bright moon with a little piece of darkness starting to come in. And then as we're heading towards the new moon, that darkness is going to begin taking over. So the moon and the sun at this point are separating. That light is starting to spread out. And this can be very much representative of the light and the experience and the information that you have accumulated thus far. And you can begin spreading this information. Just like we talked about during the waxing crescent phase, where you could network, begin asking for help, begin spreading information about what you want to do and what you want to accomplish to bring in those resources. You can kind of take the same approach here. This is when you can share your insights, share your lessons, share what you have accomplished and learn with others. So when you start to do this, typically when you engage in conversation about your lessons and information, it helps you to integrate those lessons and what you have learned a little bit more. When you begin to teach others, it helps you solidify what you know, and it's also teaching yourself. At this point, remember, you just came out of that full moon phase where that energy is very intense, it's very heightened. So you're still having a bit of this going on. So this could still be a very busy time for you. You've probably already begun making a lot of progress in your goals, and you want to just keep on pushing forward, keeping your focus. Let me just read through my notes. This is a great time for sharing and networking, just like the waxing crescent moon. We talked about that. It helps you to bring more clarity. It helps you to process and integrate the information and experiences that you have acquired thus far. We talked about that. Oh, it's also a good time to revisit old projects. So once again, that intense energy that you have during the full moon phase, you're still feeling that. So sometimes, you know, in our personal development journey, in our goal achievement journey, we're trying to develop new habits, but sometimes, you know, we have to shift and adjust. During the full moon, that's when a lot of people let go of what no longer serves them. So say you did that during the previous moon phase and you found that you did not accomplish certain goals, or you weren't able to continue on focusing on certain intentions, and during that full moon phase you decide, you know what, I'm going to let that go so that I can remain more focused on the things that I am able to accomplish. Well, maybe this is the time where you can bring those old projects and those old elements back in and bring some freshness and some reinvigoration to them. So you can channel that intense energy from this moon cycle, from this phase of the moon cycle, into those old projects. After that, we have the last quarter moon. So now, once again, remember, we're going backwards. So this is where the moon is going to be between 90 and 45 degrees behind the sun. So now you can think about, we have that full moon, you know, that, well, not full moon, a circular moon. And we think about it's divided in half. One side is going to be dark and the other side is going to be light. Okay, just like when we had during the first quarter moon, but it's going to be opposite. So if the light side was over here during the first quarter moon, the light side is going to be over here during the last quarter moon. Actually, I should have said that the opposite way. If the light side is over here during the first quarter moon, we can say actually, I think I just said that the same way. What we're going to do is say the darkness is taking over. So the darkness is growing, and so the darkness is going to be phasing out that light. So hopefully that makes sense. Your project or goal may be reaching completion during this phase of the moon. So once again, this could still be a very busy time for you. You're having a lot of momentum that is carrying you towards that finish line. You may also find that, just like those old projects were able to be reinvigorated during the disseminating moon, during the last quarter moon, you may find that resources or people or information are actually just being brought to you automatically. They're being brought to you easily, naturally, and harmoniously because of the work that you have already done. And you may even find in your social network, in your social situations, that people from your past may begin to pop up. Okay, people from your past may begin to pop up. And then the last phase is going to be quite a short workshop today. I'm just breezing through the information just because there's no one here. So I'm just going to breeze through it. If you all have questions, if you watch the replay, go ahead and drop those in the comment section. I'll answer them for you. Our last phase, though, is going to be the Balsamic Moon. So this is the moon that is between 45 and 0 degrees behind the sun. So we can think about the moon, and it's going to be basically completely dark except for a small sliver of light. The light is almost extinguished. This is one of my favorite phases of the moon cycle, actually, because this is where you get to celebrate and take a break. This is when you're bringing in that harvest, the fruits of your labor. You are picking them. So depending on what type of person or where you are in life, I would suggest taking one of two approaches, if not both. So this could be time where you could celebrate. You could bring in friends, family members, loved ones to celebrate with you, to share your accomplishments, to share the fruits of your labor. But you could also take this time to be by yourself, to reflect on what you have learned throughout your entire journey through this moon cycle, to reflect on your failures and your successes, things that you can do differently moving forward, things that you don't, want to do at all moving forward. But this is when you can really appreciate yourself and appreciate your journey. Take time to do your appreciation journaling, your gratitude journaling. And this is also when I like to actually begin planning my next goals for the next moon phase. So remember, in part 1, I did talk about during the new moon, I personally like to have everything already set up because I like to have the maximum amount of time to dedicate towards my daily intentions and my daily goals, because sometimes we feel like it's the big things that we do that make a dramatic shift in our life, but it's actually the small things that you do every day that create gentle but powerful change through that consistency. So having the entire 28 days, or as many of those 28 days as possible, to adhere to your daily intentions is going to really help you out. So for me, I like to enable myself to do that by reflecting and taking stock of where I am and what I want to do moving forward during that Balsamic Moon phase. But once again, if that's not where you are, I do not believe in a one-size-fits-all approach to goal achievement, habit development, or personal development. So you could just take this time to rest and celebrate. And then during the new moon, you could take that time to do your creative activities, your brainstorming, getting really clear on your new goals and intentions. And then as you start going into the waxing crescent moon, where the light is going to slowly start to build, you can start to bring in the information, gather resources, ask for help, begin networking. If you haven't had everything clarified on the new moon, then you can begin doing this during your waxing crescent phase and begin to build your daily intentions there. So really that's all that I have for you. This is really quick because once again, there are only 8 phases in the moon cycle. In part 1 we covered 5 of them, so part 2 we only have 3 left. But that is really it, that I have for you. So I'm gonna go ahead and head out of here. It was really quick, but if anyone does have any questions, go ahead and drop those. I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. Make sure you revisit part 1. You can also catch me in my DMs on Instagram if you want to contact me even quicker and ask me questions there. You can do that as well. So I'm going to see you all back here next Thursday, probably for a longer workshop. And yeah, I'll see you then.